What's going on, everyone? Stephen here. Today I'm going to show you how I took this web page and made it look my own way like this using a Tampermonkey script. And so I wanted to do this as a means for a custom sort of backdrop for a tutorial that I'm releasing simultaneously with this one, but that one being for how to hack Flash games in Chrome. And so I'm wanting to use the 2014 Flash game My Friend Pedro, which has a much more awesome looking and updated version coming out for PC and Switch soon. So anyway, kind of wanted to mix the two things. And so this kind of thing is a lot easier to do than it may seem, you know. So if I asked you just using jQuery to turn this into what you just saw, how would you go about that? Now, if you're experienced with jQuery and everything, you understand how quickly you could get that done. But for everyone else, I'm going to show you one of the coolest aspects of jQuery, I think, called clone. And what clone lets you do is the clone method allows you to essentially clone an element and any of its children and those children and any other children. So basically anything from a parent element inside of it as well. You can copy that whole thing and clone it, right? And you can assign that to a variable so you kind of store it, which allows you to bring it back at some point. So that's basically what I do here. So the idea was I wanted to take this game container and place it where I want it on the page, do some CSS modifications with it to resize it and move some stuff around, and then apply my own background and get rid of all this other stuff on the page. Right, so using clone, what I can do is find this here. I'll move up through the rest of the elements until it seems like I've landed on the parent, and this ends up being it here. And what I can do is just say like jQuery, and then I'm going to target main content dash wide dot clone. Alright, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign that to a variable. So I'm going to go var my friend Pedro equals that. Okay, and then I can just hit enter. Alright, so now what I can do is, since I want to get rid of every single thing on the page, I can just empty the body. So now I could say jQuery body dot empty. Alright, so that gives us a blank slate essentially. And now what we can do is append this, what we cloned, to the body. So we could say jQuery body dot append my friend Pedro. And there we go. So super quick and easy way to clone that entire thing, you know, store it somewhere, do what we want to do with the rest of the page, modify whatever, and then we bring it back, right? And so, you know, now we could just do something like give this a width of 635 px, right? And then we could move that around if we wanted to. I'm going to show you a nice little trick to center something exactly on the page. But you know, you could just do like padding top 150 px and then padding left 150 px or something like that, you know, and move it around using padding if you want. We're not going to do that, but that's just to show you how you could start getting something moving around on the page if you wanted. Alright, the other key component is getting our background image. So that's also a simple thing. We could just say jQuery. We want that background to apply to the body. So we can say body. And what we're going to do is some custom, I was going to type custom and CSS there, that's funny. some custom CSS, we're going to add a background image, and then we're going to make that background image size accordingly to the window. So maybe the image isn't quite as wide as your monitor is when you full screen. We'll make it to where it sizes accordingly. So what you can do with CSS like this is to do just one style. You could say like background image, and then you could do URL, and then put the URL there of a background image. That would be one CSS change that you wanted to make. If you want to add more, then what you can do is this, and then I like to bring this down, all right, and then I'll usually bring what I'm starting down to the next line. And instead of a comma, we'll use a colon, because then we'll separate that whole thing with a comma. So what I'm going to do is copy the URL that I had already nabbed for that picture, put that there. All right, and the next thing that I want to do is background size. We'll say cover. All right, and now if I hit enter, bam, there's our background image. Close this, and here we go. This is a great start. I mean, this would be enough if you wanted to just do something like this. And so, yeah, the last stuff that I basically did before positioning everything properly was get rid of this little thing here. So this, okay, and this gives you an opportunity to do something like, well, there's a couple of ways that you could approach it. One thing is like traversing. So let's say this was a div that had no attributes with values, it had no ID, it had no class. You had absolutely no way to target this div. Well, that's where you can start using .parent and .children and things like that, right? So you could look up jQuery traversal, and this will show you all the methods that you can use for tree traversal. All right. But what I'm going to do is, just to show you an example of that, this will be the parent, and I'm going to look for child elements of this parent. So I want to get rid of this one. So what I'm going to do is say jQuery .podhead.children, and then I can just say div and then .remove. All right, so what this should do is find the element with this class, all right, which we see podhead is here. Then this has two child elements, so we specify of its children, find this div, and then we're going to remove it. Perfect. All right, and then kind of the last thing I wanted to tweak was this. I want to center that. I want to change this T. I was going to get rid of it at first, but there's also a rated M, and the M looks kind of cool and sort of fits with the M in my. But anyway, we could do kind of the same thing, where we do the pod head, and then, you know, with this here, we could target that, or we could just target this rated T. So we could do like jQuery dot rated T, and then what we want to do is modify that to say .attr, and then we'll say that we want the class to be rated M. All right, and then I'm going to hit enter. Whoops, gosh, I hate when I do that. If you hit up or down at the wrong time in the wrong spot, it just deletes whatever you did. Rated T. And we did attr. Delete this. Class rated M. Now I'm going to hit enter. All right, see how that changed to an M? And now what we could do to center that, this on pod head here, we could basically, I'm going to apply it here. We'll also do it through jQuery, but you could say text align center. All right, see how that's centered? Perfect. So now I just want to get this container placed in the center of the page, and then that will kind of wrap up everything that I wanted to do. Right? So what I'm going to do is, the way that I ended up crafting all this is, we'll go into Tampermonkey here. First I'm going to refresh the page. Now I'm going to enable the script. All right, this was the one that I did. Okay, so I'm going to go to Dashboard. And for this, I named it Newgrounds Pedro. Gave it a little custom description. This is the page that I have the script working on. And then I have it running at document end. So basically once the page loads, then the script will work. Alright, if we didn't have this here, we would get these warnings here, but thanks to my friend Freer, or Free-ER, on one of my previous videos, had a really good suggestion to, make it to where jQuery is defined, and we just define it per how it defines itself in its documentation. So it's a nice little trick there. Alright, so the first thing that I do is created a variable and assigned it this class. So we're looking for this, or the element with this class. Alright, so then we can reference podhead now, and when we do that it would be like saying jQuery and targeting podhead. So then I look for children of podhead and find the rated T and then change it to rated M, and then I apply the CSS text align center, and then finally I remove that div. Alright, so then the next thing that I do is for the clone, I set up the variable my friend Pedro, and I set that equal to jQuery the main content, right? So I get that entire thing. But before I clone it, I give it some custom CSS, and this is the bit of CSS that I set the width, and then all this other stuff basically makes it position in the center of the screen like this. So after I set that CSS, then I clone it. And then to bring it all together, what I do is I target the body with jQuery. I set the custom background image and have that image size accordingly. Then I empty the body, and then I append this, what we cloned. Right? And so that's the entirety of the script. Not a whole lot to it for something that looks like it probably took a lot more effort to do than it really did. If you want to make it to where whenever you turn scripts on and off, that reloads the page, you can go into Tampermonkey settings, dashboard, and then settings, and then you click advanced from this drop down here, and you check this box, auto reload pages. And so that will do that whole deal. So that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this little look at this. Once again, it's just a lot of fun to be able to get creative like this and easily hack around with websites. And jQuery makes that super simple. So thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not yet. Also check out my other jQuery hacking website video that I did, and if you're interested, the tutorial that I'm doing in relation to hacking Flash-based games in Chrome. So anyway, thanks again, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.